Radhe Radhe, Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat Pranam.
Welcome to Shri Radha Vinobihari Mandir, Gopinath Bhavan, Shri Vrindavan Dham. Shri Gurudev ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Rupananda Gauri Guru Varga ki jai, Patit Pavan Shri Nityananda Prabhu ki jai, Prem Purushottam Shachinandana Gaur Hari ki jai, Radha Vinobihari Ju ki jai, Radha Raman Ju ki jai, Giriraj Mahārāja ki jai, Harinam Sankirtana ki jai, Hare Krishna Mahamantra ki jai, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Shri Jiva Goswāmī Pāda ki jai, Jayatira Bhav Maha Mahotsava ki jai, Gaura Premanande
Hari Hari Bol. Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat Pranam.
Radhe Radhe. Jiva Pavana Prabhu is already posted.
Jiva Pavana Prabhu is on the ball. Dandavat Pranam. So we will begin with Mangalacharan, page 1 in this book, Shri Gauriya Giti Guccha, Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam, calling for the mercy of our Gurudev, our Guru Varga, and all Gurus, going back to the original Guru, who is Krishna, and his praying Guru, Srimati Radhika. So, that is page 1 in this book. And Jiva Pavana Prabhu has already posted. And also today is the birthday of Sudevi's sister, Lavangalata. Actually, she's not only Sudevi's sister, Sudevi's her sister. So she came first. She's older or senior to Sudevi. So she's also our god sister, the dear disciple, darling daughter of our Sri Gurudev. And she also assists us so much in our seva. So later on we will offer birthday blessings for her, and also we will discuss about Śrī Jiva Goswāmī Pāda, his disappearance day and his pastimes as we have received and learned from our Gurudev and Guru Varga. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamshta Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajiva Sadvetam Samadhutam Parjana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakham Vitamshta Om Ajnana Timirandhasya Jnananjano Shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namo Vishnupadaya Radhikaya Priyatmane Shri Śrīmad Bhaktivedānta Nārāyaṇa Namine Shri Krishna Lila Katane Sudaksham Audarya Madhurya Murashtayuktam Varam Varenyam Purusham Mahantam Nārāyaṇam Namami Tridam Shri Krishna Padāmritaikahridni Chaitanya Leelamrita Sarasaram Nārāyaṇam Satatam Prapadye Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Śrīmate Bhaktivedānta Swami Nidāmine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshakarine Namo Vishnu Padaya Gaurapresthaya Bhutale Shri Śrīmad Bhakti Pragyāno Keshavo Iti Namine Bhakti Charitraya Svashritananchapanine Jivadukhe Sadarkaya Shri Nama Premadayine Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Śrīmate Bhaktivedānta Saraswati Iti Namine Shri Varshabhanani Devi Dvaritaya Kripabhale Krishna Sambandha Vijnana Dhanine Prabhave Namaha Madhurya Jvala Premadhya Shri Rupanuga Bhaktida Shri Gaura Karuna Shakti Vigrahaya Namostute Namaste Gauravani Shri Murtaye Vinakarine Rupanuga Viruddhata Siddhanta Dvantaharine Namo Gaura Kishoraya Sakshat Vairagya Murtaye Vipralambhara Sambodhe Padam Mujayate Namaha Namo Bhakti Vinodaya Satchidananda Namine Gaura Shakti Sarupaya Rupananga Varayate Gaura Virbhava Bhumestvam Nirnishtham Sajanam Priya Vaishnava Sarvabhauma Shri Jagannathayate Namaha Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripasindhubhya eva cha Patitānaṁ pāvanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Mahāvadanyāya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnāya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauradvise Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dīnabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Jayatam Suratopam Mama Mandamatergati Vatsarvasvapadamboja Radha Madana Mohano Divyat Vrindaranya Śrīmad Ratnagara Sindhasanastho Shri Shri Radha Shri Govinda Deva Presthadihi Sevyamano Smarami Śrīmandra Sarasaram Bhīmam Shivadattakastaha Harsham Venu Swaraidopi Gopinatha Shriyestunaha Vrindaye Tulasi Devyai Priyayai Keshavasya Cha Krishna Bhakti Pradene Satyavadyai Namo Namaha Panchatattvatmakam Krishna Bhaktarupasvarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhaktashaktikam Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Cheto Darpanamarjanam Bhava Mahāda Bhakti Nirvapanam नवचन्द्रिका वितरणं विद्यावधूं जीवनम् आनन्दं बुद्धिवर्धनं प्रतिपदं पूर्णामृतास्वादनम् सर्वात्मस्नपनं परं विजयते श्रीकृष्णसङ्कीर्तनम् हरेर्नाम हरेर्नाम हरेर्नामेव केवलम् खलो नास्त्येव 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 गतिरन्यथा हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे.
The electricity went off, but it was still a little warm, so I left it.
Who's this? Dave.
I got rid of it.
Okay, it's still showing up.
No, he's gone. I tried to, flag it, but it only
It's
let me
okay, I'm
delete
thinking
it.
what kind of fruit? Maybe the ripened fruit of
Of
all
course
Vedic
we're hoping for a
literatures.
fruit to what we're doing. They can.
They've come. It's okay. In the beginning, we can imagine that. And as we continue imagining that and praying for it with a hope, with a goal, and with an aspiration, and with greed to attain that, one sweet day, because it is the birthright of the soul, we should have that endless hope that it will be attained. Don't be hopeless, our Srila Gurudev would always say. So I am imagining that, I am thinking about it, I'm hoping for it, praying for it, and Krishna says, whatever state of deep contemplation one is in, one will definitely attain to it. So I accept the words of Krishna. So there's nothing wrong with that. Imagining the fruit, and one day the fruit will manifest. Hare Krishna. That rag is known as Bhupali, what we just sang. Just before we began, I was remembering a song that Tarun Krishna used to sing at Radharaman temple, the late Tarun Krishna. And it was very beautiful and sweet. I can't exactly sing it, but it was like... It's like that. So now we're going to go back to our normal Vandeham Gurudev Bhajan. Gurudev Kripa Bindu Diya Koro Edase. Page 32 in the songbook. If you do not have a songbook, then you can imagine one. And Jiva Pavana Prabhu will make it happen by posting it in the comment section of the thread. So there you will find it. And Lamangalata from China will post the page number. So 32. Gurudev Kripa Bindu Diya Koro Edase Trinape Kayoti Kripa Bindu Diya Koro Edase Nijamane spriho hiyo Sakala sahani Maladiya koro Nijamane spriha hiyo Kripa bindu diya Koro edase Apekhayo Prabhupada ki jai. Dandavat pranam Vaishnavas. So the latest Yadava Govinda Nārāyaṇa Ashram Amitannaka Govinda Rupini Devinasi Dandavat pranam Vaishnavas. One of the specialities of our Srila Gurudev's preaching was to alert us to the fact that on our own, by our own strength, we are practically hopeless on our own, by our own strength. We require the help of someone who's connected, who can basically connect us, and that is Sri Guru, or the pure Vaishnava, the sadhu, who is Shiksha Guru, either Diksha Guru or Shiksha Guru. And based on all of the prayers that you see here to Sri Guru, one after another, I have no strength, I have no good intelligence, I don't know anything, I'm very small, I have, Yogyata vichare, I have no qualification or value. If we are trying to approach the Absolute with the mood or the idea that I am so qualified, I have so much value, I know so much, or anything like that, we cannot approach. Because from that perspective, the controlling tendency, the all-knowing tendency, which we are not at this point, it cannot attract the Supreme Lord. He's not the servant in our garden, as Srila Bhaktivedānta Saraswati Prabhupada would say, that we will snap our fingers and say, as our people in Fiji used to say to the others who were working for them, "Hey boy," like this, and they would have to come running. Not like this, not yet, not now. Not yet. Maybe one day, but not now. So, Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj would say that we need to come to the point of this mood of absolute humility. When we come to that absolute negative, that where we removed all of that tendency to control and lord it over the material nature, that I am the master. We must remove all of that. It's like heavy rusted and paint coating over metal. It weakens the attraction. Once all of that is cleaned, then natural attraction to the powerful magnet is easily found. But with all of that stuff built over, the attraction power is very weak. So we're not attracted to Krishna because we're trying to be the controller. We're trying to be the dominator. We're trying to be the Lord of all we survey. But in the guidance of Vaishnavas, taking shelter of the pure devotee, gradually in that association, our hearts can be cleansed. Because being in the association of the pure devotees, automatically the discipline will come that is necessary, and by their mercy, what will happen? Gradually all of this excess paint, muck, stones, garbage, and everything which is keeping us distant from Krishna will be cleaned. And then we will find ourselves spontaneously attracted in the right way. Not in the mood of being the controller, but in the mood of loving service. And by that, Krishna will also be spontaneously attracted to us. As our Srila Gurudev said, he cannot neglect even one jiva. That means we have something that Krishna wants. How do we please him? By making that available for him. He wants that, let me give it to him. He wants our independence. We can give lots of things, but that's a tough one to give. I'm going to give up my, you can say my desire to be the controller or the dominator. My desire to have control over my environment. I'm going to offer that. To the point where he can do whatever he likes with us. As Mahaprabhu would say, you can do whatever you like with me. If you want, you can break my heart, you can embrace me, you can embrace another in front of me, whatever you like. what is pleasing to you, and my function is how to serve your happiness. It won't change the nature of my love for you. There is no condition for it whatsoever. It will only continue to increase forevermore, no matter what you do. This mood must come. So Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada saying that he's not a worker in our garden. Rather, we are the servant and he is the master. So we should try to make ourselves in such a way. We should try to prepare ourselves so that he will want to come and play here, in this heart. And that is also by the help of Shri Guru. So on my own, I don't have strength. I require help from outside, and that is transcendental help. The help of Shri Guru. So many times, this idea of taking shelter of the pure devotee and following under their guidance, this is kind of dismissed or kind of pushed to the side as something that's not so important. Just surrender to Krishna. But what do I know of Krishna? He's beyond the realm of my material senses. I have heard something of him. I have read something about him. But still, he can only be known as he is by love and devotion. And how can that awaken? Bhakta sanjataya bhakta. Only by the association of those who have bhakti, whose hearts are in essence on fire with love and affection for Krishna, can this very, very wet wood, now it's winter time in the northern hemisphere, so you would understand what it's like when you put wet wood into the fireplace. It takes a while to catch on fire. But anyhow, being in that association, keeping very close to those persons who are burning with excitement and enthusiasm to love and serve Krishna, gradually all of our anarthas will disappear, and we will also burn with love and affection for Krishna. And Krishna will be attracted to that. The love, the warmth, the affection that we are manifesting for him, especially in the association of and under the guidance of his pure devotee. Whoever says they are his devotee, Krishna says they're not my real devotee. But who is the devotee of my devotee? They are my devotee. I'm trying to remember that verse and it's not coming to mind. But aradhananam sarvesham vishnur aradhanam param tasmat parataram devi tadiyanam samarchanam. Aradhananam sarvesham. Lord Shiva is telling of all kinds of worshipful personalities. Aradhananam sarvesham. The topmost of everything. Vishnur aradhanam param. The topmost is Vishnu. Means Krishna for us. But tasmat parataram devi, even more than that, O Devi, tadiyanam samarchanam. What is even higher? Tadiyanam samarchanam. Who is near and dear to him? To worship that is even superior. Then Krishna, he will notice, oh, look at how they are approaching. So our mood is not how to approach directly, but Chaitanya Mahaprabhu tells us, Gopi bhartu padakamayor. I will let you fill out the rest of that. The first person to write out the rest of that, Gopi bhartu padakamayor, what's the rest of it? That line, you will get 3 samosas, 3 burpees, 3 gulab jamuns. Gopi bhartu padakamayor. It means the servant of the servant of the servant. Now we will call for the mercy of the Vaishnavas. Ah, Marsha. Jai, Jai, Jai. Page 46, Sakala Vaishnava Goshai. No, Sakala Vaishnava Gosai. Sakala Vaishnava Gosai Doya Koro Mori Dante Trino Dhori Kote Edino Pamare Sakala Vaishnava Gosai Doya Koro Dante Trino Dhori Kote Edino Pamare Shri Guru Charanoya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Shri Guru Charanoya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Pado Padmo Pamo Vaya Oriko Dhanya Pado Padmo Pamo Vaya Oriko Dhanya Omasavara Karuna Mine Iha Prapina Vishesheya Jogya Muni Ohilo Neshwari Omasavara Karunamine Iha Prapina Vishesheya Jogya Muni Ohilo Neshwari Goya Koro Thakur Jai Vaishnava Thakur, Vaishnava Thakur Jai Vaishnava Thakur, Jai Vaishnava Thakur Jai Vaishnava Thakur, Vaishnava Thakur Jai Vaishnava Thakur. Kripa Karo More Doya Karo, Prabhu Kripa Karo More Doya Karo, Prabhu Kripa Karo More Doya Karo, Kripa Karo More Doya Karo. Vaishnava Thakur ki. Now, since today we are observing here in Vrindavan the disappearance anniversary of Śrīla Jiva Gosvāmī Pad, we will sing Śrī Satyavrata Gosvāmī Ashtakam. I think many of you observed yesterday, but you are, how do you say, spread throughout the world, so we are on Vrindavan time, so there's no harm in glorifying Śrīla Jiva Gosvāmī every single day, all the time. So, Krishnot Kirtana Gana Nartana Paro Premamritam Bonidhe. Page 264. If you don't have a songbook, Jiva Pavana Prabhu very kindly post the bhajan in the comment section of the thread. Dandavat Pranam Mohini Devi Dasi. Sometimes, because of the Facebook names, we don't have or receive the opportunity to practice with the devotee names. So like Jnana Shakti Prabhu is J.S. Das. One time we were at a program and many years ago in Vancouver, and Sudevi's like, oh yes, J.S. Das. Because we're just familiar with it like that. So, okay. Krishnot Kirtana Gana Nartana Paro Premamritam Bo Nidhi. And we're going to sing it all together. Śrī Satyavrata Gosvāmī Prabhu ki jai. Krishna Kirtana Gana Nartana Paro Premamritam Bonidhi. Dhīra dhīra jana priyo priya karo. Vande Rupa ki jai, Śrī Sat Gosvāmī Prabhu ki jai, Śrī Rupa Gosvāmī Prabhu ki jai. If you have time, I recommend that you read the beautiful translation of this Ashtakam we just sung. Sri Srinivas Acharya very beautifully glorifies the six Goswamis. He was the Shiksha disciple of Śrīla Jiva Gosvāmī, and Śrīla Jiva Gosvāmī directed him to take initiation from Śrī Gopal Bhatta Gosvāmī. So Srinivas Acharya is the one who made this beautiful Ashtakam. It manifests from his heart. And Srinivas Acharya was a member of that, you say, the first transcendental book distribution or sharing party. Srinivas, Shyamalanda and Narottam Das Thakur, sent by Jiva Goswami, they traveled all over, but they were going from Vrindavan toward Navadvip and Puri, and there they were sharing the works of the Goswamis. So it was on the order of Jiva Goswami, and these three divine personalities made thousands and thousands of disciples. And through that medium, they shared the teachings of Mahaprabhu as given by Rupa Goswami and Śrīla Jiva Goswami. So we are indebted to all of these personalities. Without them, the possibility of knowing anything about Rupa Goswami or Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would be extremely diminished for us. So we are indebted to them. Now, since it is the disappearance anniversary of Śrīla Jiva Goswami, Radhe Radhe Dandavat Pranam. It's a name I have not seen in a while. I was thinking a lot about Sri Vrinda and Madhumangal the last couple days, and I just see your name there. So Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam. Jai Anilo Prema Dhana Karuna Prachur. And that is page 99 in our songbook. Gauranga Gunero Nidhi Kotagire Pamo Gauranga Gunero Nidhi Kotagire Pamo Se Sabasam Giro Sambe Je Koi Lovilas Se Sabasam Giro Sambe Je Koi Lovilas Se Sangana Paya Kade
Last year we went to Śrīla Gosvāmī's Samadhi when it was his appearance day, and we expected it to be decorated and a festival going on, but there was nothing, and we asked them why, and they said, oh, because nobody knew him or who he was and what, you know, he was going to give the world on his appearance day, so we don't celebrate it. We celebrate his disappearance when we know everything he gave. So I'm wondering, you know, we hear from our acharyas that there is no difference. They come and they leave out of divine mercy. But is this one of those things that establishes like certain groups as upasampradayas, that they consider the appearance to be nothing but the disappearance? Is that part of that category?
I'm sure you all just heard her question. Our Gurudev and our acharyas have frowned upon that idea that we will only observe the disappearance day of any acharya, but not the appearance, because we know everything about them on their disappearance, but when they appeared, no one knew anything about their glory, so we will only observe their disappearance day.
But now we know it.
That does not make sense, logically or spiritually. Because spiritually, we understand that they are transcendental personalities, from beginning to end. Their manifestation in this world is out of sweet mercy. Maybe we don't recognize when they have actually appeared, but after they have disappeared, then we can acknowledge that they have appeared in this world. It is not just a birthday like anyone else. We are born in this material world again and again due to our karma. And so there's an incubation period, first an impregnation, then an incubation according to our karmas, and then we are born and we have all of these mundane ideas and consciousness put in us, and then we represent that in our lives, and then we die and we go to the next one. But the transcendental personalities might appear to take birth like we do. Like Krishna in Vrindavan, he also appeared to take birth like a human baby. However, he's not just any ordinary human baby. And neither are our acharyas, who are descending from Goloka Vrindavan out of sweet mercy to help us. Therefore, it is said there is no difference between the appearance and disappearance of the pure devotees, because they're always operating and functioning on the transcendental platform. Our Gurudev compared it to looking out a window and you see someone walk past and then they disappear behind the other side of the wall. It's not that they're not there. Same with the sun. We see the sun in the daytime, and at night it's dark. But that doesn't mean that the sun doesn't exist anymore, or that the sun just took birth, or that it died. It's just, in essence, that our backs, or the earth, or whatever, is in a different position. But the sun is still there, still existing. Just because we cannot see it does not mean it doesn't exist. And so those transcendental personalities are always transcendental, and therefore their birthplace is worshipped and worshipable. If their birthplace is worshipped and worshipable, then their birthday, the day that they appeared in this world, is also worshipped and worshipable. And after their disappearance, we know everything about their life from their birth to their disappearance, from their appearance to their disappearance. And so they are always glorifiable, but on these days, because of that time period, they're also giving extra special mercy. So, yes, there's no difference between the appearance and disappearance. However, there's the disappearance. However, there's a speciality. We observe and honor the appearance and disappearance of Vaishnavas. However, I have not seen anyone honor the disappearance of any form of Vishnu or Krishna. They also disappear from our vision in this world, but we don't have any celebration for that. So we are following as our Guru Varga have followed. We do observe the appearance and disappearance of the Vaishnavas. Srila Gurudev explained why we observe the disappearance. He said the only reason for their disappearance is to increase our inclination to serve and to weep and to try more deeply. Because of this nature in our hearts, when that feeling of separation manifests, then we try more to serve and please that person. Resolutions are made. Yes, this is the disappearance of Srila Gurudev, or the appearance. But on this day, yes, I will try to give more endeavor to serve him, to please him. So on this day, the disappearance day of Śrīla Jiva Gosvāmī, we should understand that his appearance and disappearance are both worshipable. But there is a speciality to the disappearance festival. It's called Maha Mahotsav. It's an utsav, or a festival of the disappearance, because that festival also brings about an acute kind of remembrance, a deeper kind of longing to associate with and to receive the mercy of that personality. So, our Param Gurudev Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj explained why it is called an utsav, or a festival. When someone has left this world, generally you think, why? You're going to make a festival? But actually it is a celebration of all they have given, all of that mercy they have given to us. And deep remembrance in that viraha. Viraha means separation, but viraha, when you split the two, when you split the word in half, V means vaishishya, or speciality or special, and raha means meeting. So through this intense separation feeling, then a special kind of meeting manifests. as we've seen in the life of Srila Narottam Das Thakur, when he did that Gaur Purnima Mahamahotsav festival in Keturi Gram, inviting all of the near and dear associates of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and all of his devotees, hundreds of thousands. It was the first official Gaur Purnima Mahamahotsav festival after the time of Mahaprabhu's departure from our vision in this world. And in that separation festival, all were weeping and crying, and Narottam Das was singing the pastimes of the Lord. And the kirtan became so overwhelmed with separation that Mahaprabhu himself, Nityananda Prabhu, and all of their eternal associates descended into that kirtan and began dancing during that kirtan. And all of those who had the vision to see, they were witnessing Mahaprabhu at that time and weeping and crying, and some were fainting. And all of those who couldn't see, they could only see the reaction of the devotees that they are seeing. They began weeping and also feeling intense feelings of separation and ecstasy as well, just witnessing. As we would watch Gurudev weeping during any drama or when he's speaking Harikatha, as he's crying and weeping, it was hard for us to hold back our own tears and for our hearts to not sink as well. Just being in the vicinity of such a personality who is weeping and crying for Krishna. So we don't accept this idea that they're only worshipable on the disappearance day, but not worshipable on the appearance day. This is something, I wouldn't say it's apasampradaya, but it is one of the traits of some of these, what is mentioned in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, apasampradayas, that they don't honor the Vaishnava on their birth because they think that that's mundane, but they honor them on their disappearance day because then you realize everything they've given. Well, maybe the first one, but every single one after that, their appearance, their disappearance, and every time in between is always worshipable, is always glorifiable.
Thank you.
So now, we will call out for the mercy of Shri Nityananda Prabhu, Nitai Padakamala, Koti Chandra Shushitala.
One of the reasons I was curious to ask and to have you speak on it is because one devotee, a couple devotees today were telling us how different devotees are going to Babaji's and to different lineages. And I was just sort of contemplating on how even something that is so close, we hear Radharaman, we hear Gopal Bhatta Goswami, but that so-called lineage is very, very different from the Rupanuga and Saraswat
Dhara.
Yes, and Bhaktivedānta. And so I was just noticing that even something as simple as that, anyone might think, oh, okay, no problem. But actually it's a huge misunderstanding and misidentification. So, yeah.
So speaking about that, there are very fine points which make all the difference in the world. And if we don't understand that, if we have not endeavored to capture the essence of the teachings of our Gurudev and our Guru Varga, if we miss that point, then we will tend to accept other ideas which are actually maybe even opposed to the teachings of our Gurudev and Guru Varga. In English, there is a saying, if you don't stand for something, you will fall for anything. In other words, if you don't have conviction and understanding in what our Guru Varga and Parampara is giving, then anyone else can present any other conception and we'll be like, yeah, that sounds cool, I will go for that. And then we can be derailed from the path of Rupanuga Bhakti, derailed from Bhaktivedānta, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's lineage. We can be derailed from that, in essence, cutting off the branch that we ourselves are sitting on. And if Guru Nishta is the backbone of Bhakti, firm conviction in the lotus feet of Sri Guru, and we cut that branch, meaning taking shelter of those persons who disrespect or disregard our guru's guru, and our guru's great grand and great guru. How do we expect to receive the mercy of our Gurudev? Impossible. If we disregard the teachings of our guru's guru, how will our Gurudev want to give us his mercy? We have just rejected his heart. So if we think about it like this, that is why it is so essential to hold on tightly to the teachings, the conceptions, the mercy of our Gurudev and Guru Varga. Otherwise, we can lose everything. Everything. What we have already received. And we can be cast into oblivion forever, Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Goswami Mahārāja says. So one little change, it's just one little thing. We've just opened the door, that little crack. Maybe another way of looking at it is we've just put a hole in our boat. One small hole, which is left unchecked. And then, another little thing. You just put another hole. Changing from the conceptions, the pure conceptions of our Gurudev and our Guru Varga. Another small hole, another small hole. Then you become accustomed to making holes. But your boat is filling up with water. And where are you? In the middle of this Bhavasagar, this massive, endless ocean of material existence. We're on a boat, sure, but we will drown unless we hold on tightly to the instructions, the conceptions of Sri Guru. So, as our Gurudev has said, in fact, he gave me a personal instruction. He said, you can write something about Babajis. Not all Babajis are bad. We should not think like that. Gaur Kishora's Babaji Mahārāja is also Babaji. Jagannath's Babaji Mahārāja is also Babaji. Our Goswamis were called Babaji, or Baba, because of their senior nature. So everyone would call them Baba. And that's where the term Babaji came from. Ji is a word like a suffix of respect. Babaji. Even in India, when someone says something and you're jiha, like this. So you respond with that. Ji, Prabhuji, Esa, like that. So, when someone is actually going against the teachings of Guru Sadhu and Shastra in the name of Guru Sadhu and Shastra, this is very, very dangerous for any sincere practitioner on the path of bhakti. These days, it's very common to just mix with so many randomly, and I've even seen so many seniors changing from the conceptions of their own Gurudev and their own Guru Varga, and representing teachings which are directly opposed. And actually this subject which I am touching on right now is directly related to Jiva Goswami. So we will discuss that more later.
Thank you.
So our Srila Gurudev, Srila Bhaktivedānta Nārāyaṇa Gosvāmī Mahārāja, has presented a compendium of essays, a compilation of essays known as 5 essential essays. And this he wanted his disciples to be clear about, because he was worried. He said, now we are here, so all of these things are in check. We are stopping this influx of Sahajiyism. But after I leave, I do not know what will come, what will become. A very dangerous time is coming, Srila Gurudev said. That's a warning for his disciples to be very aware and alert. If something is going against the teachings of Sri Guru, and I embrace that conception, it will produce doubt in my heart. Or I can be in so much ignorance that I will say, no, there's no doubt. I'm reconciling it. And then I start preaching against the conceptions of my Param Gurudev. How do you think Gurudev would be? Whoa, like wildfire. I have seen him swinging his danda. Trust me, you don't want to get in the way. There was some disturbance during the parikrama. Gurudev just started swinging his danda like this and then took it and started moving people back. So this is not the way to get the mercy of Gurudev, by creating a situation that is very displeasing to him. One must always endeavor to serve and please their Gurudev. Even if any other Mahabhagavat, I'm quoting Gurudev right now, verbatim, word for word, even if any other Mahabhagavat says something even slightly different than your Gurudev, you must reconcile it immediately, or else it will go in like a seed of doubt. Very quickly it will turn into a big tree, and then everything will be destroyed. Srila Gurudev spoke those words. So it might be that another Mahabhagavat says something which sounds different. If we cannot reconcile it, or if there is not a reconciliation, it's just, well, I'm going to superimpose this idea over yours, then what do you have? You have something which is a massive seed of doubt, and then your bhakti, your guru nishta, can be shaken. And that tree means, just imagine a tree growing inside of you. It just will shatter your spine. So that's your backbone. So where will your guru nishta be? Then your bhakti will be finished. You won't be able to move forward on the path of bhakti. So it is essential to understand the essential teachings of Sri Guru in such a way that we can hold tight to them. And when any kind of thing, opposition comes, Srila Gurudev said, we should defeat it. This is also related to Jiva Goswami, so we will discuss that more later. There's a difference between reconciliation and superimposition. Reconciliation means one has said something, and that same person may have said just the opposite. Now, how do we understand that and reconcile it? Usually it requires another Mahabhagavat to reconcile it. Or if two different Mahabhagavats are saying something that appears opposite, it might require another Mahabhagavat to reconcile it for us. But if there is no reconciliation, then what do we have? Then it's a superimposition. And that's not a good thing. That means that something is pushing that conception out of the way and replacing it with another one. And how can we hold tightly to the lotus feet of our Gurudev? The function of Shiksha Guru, our Param Gurudev says, is to increase our faith in our Diksha Guru. Otherwise, that is not Shiksha Guru. Guru Param Gurudev said that is not even Vaishnava. These days, everyone likes to take everyone's disciples for themselves. Back in the day of Rupa Goswami and Jiva Goswami, Jiva Goswami didn't even make any formal disciples, although he was the Jagat Guru. He was the most recognized guru in all of the dhams of the Vishva Vaishnava Raja Sabha, the universal association of kingly Vaishnavas. He was the leader of that, and yet he did not accept any disciples of his own. He felt himself unqualified to do such a thing. So when Srinivas and Srinivas and Narottam came to him, they were with him. They were surrendering themselves at his feet. And he basically said to them, do you trust me? Do you have this faith in me? To Narottam Das Thakur, he said, you take shelter of Lokanath Goswami. And to Srinivas Acharya, he said, you take shelter of Gopal Bhatta Goswami. And accept initiation from them. And for Shyamananda, his own guru, Hridaya Chaitanya, sent him to Jiva Goswami for further understanding. Because Hridaya Chaitanya was in Sakya Bhav, so he could only help his disciple up to his level, up to Sakya Bhav. But Shyamananda's nature internally was beyond Sakya Bhav. It was in Madhurya Bhav. So he had to go to any Vaishnava who was in Madhurya Bhav to get the nourishment to bring him to his perfection. So his guru sent him forth. You take Shiksha from Jiva Goswami. And Jiva Goswami gave him shelter and nourishment to bring him up to that level. But all were working together, not for themselves, but for the eternal benefit of those jivas. Let me help you to attain perfection. So there wasn't this mood of, oh, you're mine and no one else can help you. But if someone is going to turn you against the teachings of your Gurudev, this is not considered help. This is considered harmful and ungrateful. Srila Gurudev spoke about the kinds of disciples who do that, who actually turn There are those who neglect the teachings of their Gurudev. That's a kind of a weakness. Most of us maybe have a little bit of that here and there, or maybe a lot. We're weak. But who goes against the teachings of their Gurudev? Gurudev said, this is Guru Druha. It is the most heinous kind of activity to go against the teachings of one's transcendental Gurudev. And we've seen this in the past, and even these days we see it. So, very careful. We should be very careful. So, understanding from our perspective, we need to have a certain kind of allegiance, focus. That Guru Nishtha is essential. And so, there might be so many persons who are chanting Hare Krishna. Krishneti yasya giritam manasadriyeta. Offer pranam within your mind. But if someone is rejecting Bhaktivedānta Thakur, then they're rejecting Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Then they're rejecting our Param Gurudev and Śrīla Prabhupada and all of the disciples of Śrīla Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Then they're rejecting our Gurudev, all of our Gurudevs. In essence, how can we benefit in their association? Even if they're telling so many good things, but they've rejected Bhaktivedānta Thakur. It destroys our inclination in bhakti. So they're chanting Hare Krishna. They might be senior, they might be nice, they might know so much Tattva Siddhanta and everything. Offer pranam. But if we give our heart, if we give our shraddha, if we give everything, then it will break our backbone. So there must be some fidelity. Gurudev said, what does Guru want from us? He wants our loyalty. Loyalty. This is required. If we want to progress on the path of bhakti. Sarvasva tomar charane sapiya, orechi tomar ghare, tumito thakur, tomar kukur, boliya jana humore. Everything I have, I'm offering at your lotus feet. Sarvasva tomar charane sapiya. This is your home. Everything belongs to you. You are my master, Tumito Thakur, and I am just like your dog. I will be loyal to you in every way. If anyone is friendly to you and favorable, I will welcome them. If anyone is against you, I will bark very loudly and send them away. I will only take the remnants of your prasad. I will only accept what is favorable for your service. When I see you, I will happily dance around you. And I will be obedient to you. This kind of mood, Bhaktivedānta Thakur is telling, like a dog has for its master, we should endeavor to cultivate this kind of loyalty in the lotus feet of our Shri Guru and our Guru Varga. Then we can have some hope of making progress on the path of bhakti. So there's so many different ideas which are coming in, so many different ideals, so many changes and everything else like that. Sit, put Gurudev here or put him next to you and ask, would I do this? Would I speak this? If my Gurudev was here and sitting next to me, would he be pleased with this? Would he be pleased with it? Really, really question that I am changing his teachings and the teachings of his Gurudev. And then we can make our choice. It's kind of like testing our pulse. So a lot of these conceptions we will discuss related to Śrīla Jiva Gosvāmī. But I want to sing Nitai Pada Kamala Koti Chandra Shishikala because it was by the touch of the lotus feet of Sri Nityananda Prabhu. He placed his lotus feet upon the head of Jiva Gosvāmī, who was quite young at the time. He went to Navadvip. Nityananda Prabhu placed his lotus feet upon the head of Jiva Gosvāmī. And although Jiva Gosvāmī was extremely learned, extremely knowledgeable in every kind of path, and although he knew 5 or 6 languages, still, Sri Nityananda Prabhu manifested all tattva siddhant, tattva gyan in his heart. Then Nityananda Prabhu personally took him to all of the places of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes in Sri Navadvip Dham. And that has been recorded by Srila Bhaktivedānta Thakur in a book known as Navadvip Dham Mahatmya. In essence, by the mercy of Jiva Goswami and Śrī Nityananda Prabhu, we have received our Navadvip Dham Parikrama. So Jiva Goswami first received this mercy of Śrī Nityananda Prabhu, who ordered him now, because he wanted to stay with Nityananda Prabhu. And Nityananda Prabhu said, in the same way that Mahaprabhu sent Rupa and Sanatan to Vrindavan, you should also go there under their guidance. But first, you should go to where is it? Prayag? I think Varanasi. And there learn under the guidance of the disciple of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, that is Madhusudan Vachaspati, who learned everything, all of Mahaprabhu's conceptions and teachings from Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, all from the perspective of bhakti. And from that, Jiva Goswami received all of Mahaprabhu's teachings. So Nityananda Prabhu sent him in that direction and then on to Vrindavan. And then Jiva Goswami manifested all of the sandarbhas. Krishna Sandarbha, Tattva Sandarbha, Paramatma Sandarbha, Bhakti Sandarbha. Basically, all of the teachings of Mahaprabhu with exact references to all of the Shastras, with all of the proofs, the evidence, the praman, to establish Mahaprabhu's teachings as the ultimate teachings without any doubt. If anyone's going to refer to Shastra, you look at what Jiva Goswami has given, and then you see he has given proofs for Mahaprabhu's teachings everywhere. So we're going to, for Jiva Goswami, for him, we're going to sing Nitai Padakamala, for his pleasure. That, of course, he's always remembering the lotus feet of Nityananda Prabhu, but still, just like for Gurudev's pleasure, you will sing something about Param Gurudev, Radha Chinta Niveshena. So for Jiva Goswami, Nitai Padakamala, Koti Chandra Shushikala. May he be pleased by our offering. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Nitai Pado Kamala Koti Chandra Shushitala Nitai Pado Kamala Koti Chandra Shushitala Je Chaya Jagata Jurai Je Chaya Jagata Jurai संबंध नाही जा वृथा जन्म गेलोता से पशु बड़ दुराचार से पशु बड़
प्रभु की जय।
what happened. Someone made a phone call. And I don't know how it's all linked together, but that just happened. So firmly take hold of Nitai's 2 lotus feet. Make me happy by keeping me close to the reddish soles of your lotus feet. It is not possible to attain Radha and Krishna without a personality such as Nitai. So firmly take hold of his lotus feet. Oh. That was an important call. 1 second. Radhe Radhe? Hello? Radhe Radhe? Yes, can you give it to the guard? Yeah. Oh gosh, I can't deal with that. I'm sorry. I'll have to deal with it another day. I'll call him back another day. Patit Pavan Shri Nityan Prabhu Ki Jai. He's going to call again too.
Just call Naveen.
Naveen, it's too late. Naveen's probably gone. Oh, he's calling again. Sorry, everyone.
Tell him to put it in the office.
Radhe Radhe. इमलीतला के पास बहुत बड़ा लाल महल गोपीनाथ भवन हाँ गेट के साथ but अंदर आए नो लॉक नहीं है अभी संध्या आरती अंदर आओ और कोई
Tell him you're not home.
Okay, I'm not home. You have to bring it early. You're bringing so late. I'm busy. Radhe Radhe. Sorry, I can't deal with it. I think it's the microphone.
That's not good.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry, all devotees. He's going to call back again too. Okay, so let's call for the mercy of Sri Sachinandan Gaura Hari. Sakhe Kalaya Gauramudaram, page 340. Sakhe Kalaya Gauramudaram. Sakhe Kalaya Gauramudaram. Sakhe Kalaya Gauramudaram. Sakhe Kalaya सच्चिनंदन गौर हरि की जय। Vande Girivaradhara Pada Kamalam, page 346. Vande Girivaradhara Pada Kamalam, Vande Girivaradhara Pada Kamalam, Vande Girivaradhara Pada Kamalam, Vande Girivaradhara Pada Kamalam, Kamalakara Kamalanchitamodam, Kamalakara Kamalanchitamodam, Vande Girivaradhara Pada Kamalam, Vande Girivaradhara Pada Kamalam, Vajravajram Kusham Pankajagaritam, Vajravajram Kusham Pankajagaritam, Vrajavanita Kucha Kumkumalalitam, Vrajavanita Kucha Kumkumalalitam, Vande Girivaradhara Pada Kamalam, Vande Girivaradhara Pada Kamalam, Manjulamani Nupuraramaniam, Manjulamani Nupuraramaniam, Achapallapularamanikamaniam, Achapallapularamanikamaniam, Vande Girivaradhara Pada Kamalam, Vande Girivaradhara Pada Kamalam, Atirohitama Tirohita Bhasham, Atirohitama Tirohita Bhasham, Madhu Madhuvikrita Govinda Dasam, Madhu Madhuvikrita Govinda Dasam, Vande Girivaradhara Pada Kamalam, Vande Girivaradhara Pada Kamalam, Kamalakara Kamalanchitam Amodam, Kamalakara Kamalanchitam Amodam, Vande Girivaradhara Pada Kamalam, Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite. Page 341. Jaya Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite. Jaya Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite. Gokula Paruni Mandala Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bo Shri Gurudev Ki Jai Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai Rupan Guru Varga Ki Jai Shri Jiva Goswami Pad Ki Jai Taliya Tirva Maha Mahotsava Ki Jai Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bo. Gurave Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadbhaktaya Namo Namaha Ajnanatimidandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namaham Vishnupadaya Radhikaya Priyatmane Shri Śrīmad Bhaktivedānta Nārāyaṇa Namine Namaham Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Śrīmate Bhaktivedānta Swāmini Namine Vanchākalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langayate girim yat kripatamaham vande Shri Gurum Dinatarinam. First of all, I offer my Dandavat Pranam thousands of times in the dust of the lotus feet of our beloved Gurudev, Nitya Lila Pravishna Vishnupad, Ashto Tarashata Shri Śrīmad Śrīla Bhaktivedānta Nārāyaṇa Gosvāmī Mahārāja. In the same thousands of Dandavat Pranam, in the dust of the lotus feet of Nitya Lila Pravishna Vishnupad, Ashto Tarashata Shri Śrīmad Śrīla Bhaktivedānta Swami Śrīla Prabhupada. And also on this day, the anniversary of the disappearance day of Śrīla Jiva Goswami Pad, I offer my Dandavat Pranam thousands of times in the dust of his lotus feet. And to all Vaishnavas past, present, and future, including all of you who are present. Did I say Shri Rupanuga Guru Varga?
Yes.
Did I say Rupanuga Guru Varga?
I believe you did.
And to all Rupanuga Guru Varga, also I offer my Dandavat Pranam thousands of times in the dust of their lotus feet. And to all Vaishnavas past, present, and future, including all of you who are present with us today, I offer my Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat Pranam, dear Vaishnavas. Radhe 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 Sham.
Radhe Sham. So as you all know, today we are observing the anniversary of the disappearance of Śrīla Jiva Goswami Pad from our vision in this world. Many times devotees would start speaking about Jiva Goswami in terms of his blood relationship with Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami Pad. And Śrīla Gurudev, Bhaktivedānta Nārāyaṇa Gosvāmī Mahārāja would say, we should not discuss these personalities like that. We should see that Jiva Goswami accepted initiation from Śrīla Rupa Goswami. Rupa Goswami only made one disciple, proper, on the order of Sanatana Goswami, and that is Śrīla Jiva Goswami. So we should only see them in terms of their relationship with their Guru. In fact, when one takes initiation from Gurudev, especially Diksha, they have attained a spiritual, transcendental rebirth. So they're not of this world. In the same way that we should see Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada as the disciple of Srila Gaura Kishoras Babaji Maharaj and as the disciple of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Srila Gurudev said it is proper to glorify these personalities in terms of their relationship with and their service to their transcendental Gurudev. What is your question?
Well, then why is it that even our Gurudev spoke about Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur and the umbilical cord like a Brahmin thread, and all of those things, and also Param Gurudev and him being taken by a bird and dropped in a lily pond, and all of these things that aren't necessarily related to their relationship with their guru. It's their birth pastimes and their, like even Gurudev going to Hiramayan and being born into such a family. This is part of the glories of our Guru Varg, is yes, their relationship with their guru in the spiritual lineage, but so why do we tell all these things? And Gurudev did too.
So leave it to Sudevi to find the tough questions. So all of these expressions that are being told, like how Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada had this Brahmin thread, his umbilical cord wrapped like a Brahmin thread, and the marks of tilak on his baby body, these are all supra, not mundane, but actually something showing their glory, their transcendental nature. But when you look or glorify someone in terms of their blood relationship, then you are applying some kind of, you can say, material connotation to it. That was one of the great differences that Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada had with his blood brother,
yes.
Lalit Prasad. Because Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada recognized Srila Bhaktivedānta Thakur as the supermost transcendental personality. He even chastised Bhaktivedānta Thakur's own guru for placing his feet on the head of Bhaktivedānta Thakur, saying you could only do such a thing because you do not know who he really is. And so Lalit Prasad always saw Bhaktivedānta Thakur as his worldly father. And because he wasn't giving proper honor and proper respect and seeing him in that light, that was one of the main reasons Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada had such a difference of opinion from him, among many other reasons, of course. So, the devotees would try to glorify Jiva Goswami like this. Gurudev said, only if you have a lot of time, then you can go into those kind of details. But really, we should see him as the brother. Sorry, not the brother. The disciple. He is the transcendental maidservant of Srimati Radhika, serving like a sister of Sri Rupa and Sanatan, who are in Krishna Lila, Rup Manjari, Lavanga Manjari. There's Raghunath Das Goswami, is Rati Manjari, and Jiva Goswami, Vilas Manjari. So serving like that. And in Sadak group, he is serving Rupa Goswami and Sanatan Goswami as Diksha and Shiksha Gurus. Although there is a technical relationship, Gurudev didn't put too much importance on that. So it is said that when Rupa and Sanatan went to see Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu at Ram Kevi, at that time they brought very, very young Jiva with them. And this Jiva, who was quite young at the time, he said about himself at that time, I don't really remember much, I have a vague memory of it. This is his humility. Anyhow, at that time, he received the direct blessings of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Some say Mahaprabhu put his hand on his head, some say he put his feet on his head. Anyhow, this young Jiva received the direct blessings and mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And as we've already previously heard, subsequently, the direct blessings and mercy of Nityananda Prabhu, and then remained under the guidance of Rup and Sanatan. So this Jiva Goswami, even from his very childhood, was receiving immense mercy from Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu, and all of their transcendental associates. And by this, just as Lord Balaram himself blessed Ugra Shrava Sutta, who became known as Sutta Goswami, with all transcendental Tattva Gyan, Tattva Siddhant, in one moment it all manifested in his heart, Divya Gyan Hriday Prakashito. In the same way, by the mercy of Nityananda Prabhu, all of this Tattva Gyan, all knowledge of Shastra and everything, manifested in the heart of Srila Jiva Goswami by the mercy of Nityananda Prabhu. So, this Jiva Goswami, as I told previously, was ordered by Nityananda Prabhu to go to Vrindavan and be under the association and the guidance of Rupa and Sanatan. But first to study all of the Shastras under the blessings and under the tutelage of Madhusudan Vachaspati, who is a disciple of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was blessed by Saraswati herself. He attained a benediction by the goddess of knowledge and learning herself. So he was very shocked when Mahaprabhu was so superior to him in knowledge and learning. He realized he can be none other than the master of Saraswati. That means he is Bhagavan himself. And then Mahaprabhu showed to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya a very beautiful form. Many of you may have seen that form, known as Shadbhuj. 6-arm form. 2 arms carrying Kamandalu and Dandam, that is the arms of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. 2 arms carrying a flute, that is Krishna. And 2 arms carrying bow and arrows, that is Shri Ram. He was showing Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya that you are preaching the Mayavad conception, and here I am in front of you as a person, and I am not different from Krishna and Ram. And he manifested this beautiful form for Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. In other words, completely converted him to Vaishnavism. He became a bhakta to such an extent that he didn't even like the word mukti. So Mahaprabhu had to give him an alternate definition of mukti, which is that the real liberation, real freedom, not just this idea of freedom from material suffering and merging into the light, so to speak, merging into that. This is not real mukti, real liberation, but real liberation means coming into the nature of your soul as an eternal servant of Krishna in whatever ras your soul is eternally present within. So Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya became a very, very staunch follower of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and taught his disciple Madhusudan Vachaspati everything that he had learned from Mahaprabhu. And Jiva Goswami studied under his tutelage and was able to learn all of those Shastras. As I told before, he was expert in many languages: Hindi, Bengali, Farsi, Urdu, Arabic. He knew all of these languages. And those persons who he grew up under also were in very high places within the government. So Rup, Sanatan, Anupam, they were in the position of Prime Minister for the government, Private Secretary, and Treasurer. That's how trusted and trustworthy they were. And so Jiva grew up in that situation. So he was ordered by Nityananda Prabhu, after learning, you should go to Vrindavan and be under the guidance of Sri Rupa and Sanatan. So Jiva went to Vrindavan, and there he received the shelter of Sri Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Gosvāmī. On the order of Sanatana Gosvāmī, Rupa Goswami initiated Srila Jiva Goswami. And Jiva Goswami learned everything, all bhakti, shastra, and everything from Rupa Goswami. Because Rupa Goswami was that personality who was specially blessed by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the Vaishnavas, all of the associates of Mahaprabhu. Especially blessed by him, that he would be able to establish in this world the inner heart's desire of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Rupa Goswami is glorified as that person who has done just that. Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale. He has established that inner heart's desire of Mahaprabhu in this world. And receiving the blessings of all the Vaishnavas, Mahaprabhu also ordered him to manifest Rasa Shastra. So as Rupa Goswami was dictating, Jiva Goswami would write. And although there was no necessity for editing still, Jiva Goswami was performing this function of making or helping, assisting Rupa Goswami in manifesting these Shastras. So he was very dutiful and faithful, completely loyal and trustworthy disciple of Rupa Goswami. He saw Rupa Goswami as his life and soul. So by the mercy of Jiva Goswami, we have received everything from Srila Rupa Goswami. Without the hard labor of Jiva Goswami, who personally wrote, back in those days they did not have printing presses, at least not in India. So everything was hand transcribed, by hand. Jiva Goswami was writing all of the works of Rupa Goswami and also rewriting them for distribution. So by his mercy, Srila Gurudev actually said he established Rupa Goswami's Manobhishta in this world. So without Jiva Goswami, what would we have received from Rupa Goswami? So it is like this. Our Guru Parampara is like this. Without my Gurudev, how would I receive the mercy of our Guru Varga in Guru Parampara? Without Srila Prabhupada, how would I receive the mercy? Without my Param Gurudev, without Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada, without Bhaktivinoda Thakur, without our Guru Varga, how would we know anything about Rupa Goswami? Without Rupa Goswami, how would we know anything about Mahaprabhu? Without Mahaprabhu, how would we know anything about Radha and Krishna? So we are, in essence, eternally indebted to each personality in our Guru Parampara. So, Srila Jiva Goswami, he was very dutiful, always serving Rupa Goswami in every way. And he was such a faithful and loyal disciple. It is said one day, a very, very prominent personality, our Gurudev has mentioned that this was Vallabhacharya, had come. And because he was contemporary of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he was quite senior. So he was also very highly respected Vaishnava and a great scholar in Sanskrit. So when he came to Vrindavan, he met with Rupa Goswami. And he knew Rupa Goswami, but he was like old enough to be their father, or maybe even more. So they gave him all due respect, which is appropriate and proper. Not only was he elderly, but he was also a great Vaishnava and highly learned, highly knowledgeable. So he asked Rupa Goswami, what are you working on? And Rupa Goswami I'm working on Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Oh, Vallabhacharya says, oh, very nice, very nice. Can I read it? Can I see it? So Rupa Goswami provided it to him. Although he was somewhat hesitant, anyhow he provided it. He said, I will check it over and see if there's any errors or anything that needs correction. This is natural. From the perspective of any senior person, even if you're 50 years old, the 70-year-old will say, I think you need a little help with that. For example, we've known Vrindavan Vilasini Didi and Shamrani Didi since we were just little babies. So, as much as we might think we know, they're always our senior, and they can always correct and adjust if they see that maybe something is off, because they see us as their little babies. It doesn't change as old as you get, interestingly enough. So this Vallabhacharya, he was looking through this Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. And he came upon one verse, Bhukti Mukti Spriha Javat Pishachi. Oh, the desire for enjoyment, bhukti and mukti, liberation. These are like witches, which will devour your consciousness, devour your mind and everything. He didn't like that mukti was referred to like this. So it so happened that he was at the river afterward, and young Jiva, he didn't like the idea that someone would be trying to correct the works of his Gurudev, which is natural, because the disciple should understand and see that my Gurudev is sent by Krishna. He is the mercy form of Krishna. There is no mistake within their works. Brahm, Pramada, Karanapatava, Vipralipsa. The four defects of any conditioned soul does not occur within the sayings of the all-seeing, all-knowing, Tattvadarshi, truth-seeing personalities, the pure devotees. It just doesn't happen. They don't have the tendency to come under illusion, to make mistakes, to have imperfect senses, and to cheat others, because they're operating on the transcendental platform. In this case, in the essay entitled Thakur Bhaktivinod, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada writes that the pure devotee, even if there's some apparent external mistake, still they are always and necessarily right. They are correct. And the non-devotee, even if everything appears to be correct, they are always and necessarily wrong. It's quite a difficult concept to comprehend. But in one sense, it's also quite easy. Who has love and devotion for Krishna, they are rightly situated. Even if they apparently make some external mistake in their grammar or something like that. Even Rupa Goswami says in the 7th verse, 6th verse of Upadeshamrita, trishtais vabhava janitair vapushashtadosha. Even if there's some external defect, even in their mannerisms, we should still understand that they're completely transcendental and pure, and there's no fault to be seen in them. Just as the Ganga, even though it has mud and bubbles and even dead bodies floating in it, still it is always transcendental and pure. So these 4 defects do not occur within the sayings of the all-perfect, all-seeing, tattvadarshi, transcendental personalities. And this is how one should see their transcendental guru. So Jiva Goswami took the opportunity to question, privately, away from Rupa Goswami, Vallabhacharya, did you find anything? And he said, well, I found this, Bhukti Mukti Spriha Javat Pishachi. And he said, and it doesn't feel right, this saying that this desire for mukti is like a witch. Mukti is the goal. For so many, this is the goal, transcendence, to liberate, to become liberated and free from material conditioning. So then Jiva Goswami, in some places I've read, he very gently said, made some comments to the effect of, well, this is what it means. He's saying, Bhukti Mukti Spriha Javati Pishachi. It is not that Bhukti and Mukti is a witch, but it is the desire, Spriha, for these things, which is like the witch which is devouring one's consciousness. And then another place it is said that he gave him a very strong debate and convinced him and left him basically speechless. So I've heard and read from different acharyas about this. So what happened? Vallabh accepted what Jiva Goswami had told him, although Jiva Goswami was quite young at the time. He couldn't respond because Jiva was so knowledgeable, so clear, and so brilliant that the argument couldn't come back. So Vallabha Acharya, he returned the book to Rupa Goswami, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, and told him, I have found no mistake. I had this one. He said something that, I had this one question, but Jiva, your disciple, he said very expertly was able to remove my doubts. Rupa Goswami understood something at that point. Srila Gurudev explained that Rupa Goswami wanted to give honor and respect to this Vallabh. And the disciple also wanted to give honor and respect, but he had to make sure that his guru's words were not twisted or manipulated or changed. And it is the duty of the disciple to defend the conceptions of their pure and transcendental Gurudev. So Rupa Goswami understood that his disciple had corrected his own senior. So Rupa Goswami wanted to make sure that Vallabhacharya and any other would not then make criticism to himself. This would not be good for the spreading of the teachings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, for Rupa Goswami, that he would be considered the person encouraging his young disciples to chastise his seniors. Then people would not respect what he is giving. So for his service to Mahaprabhu, he took a strong role. And Jiva Goswami also had taken a strong role. But in order to continue to serve Mahaprabhu and to maintain the respect that was necessary, in front of Vallabh, he had to chastise Jiva Goswami. So Rupa Goswami said, I don't want any disciple like you around here, who's not giving proper honor and respect to even my senior. Like this, you should leave immediately. This broke the heart of Jiva Goswami. But Rupa Goswami had to do this. Rupa Goswami had to do this for the greater good. Was it wrong what Jiva Goswami had done? Was it wrong? Absolutely not. What he had done was correct. Because it is the duty of the disciple to defend the integrity and teachings of their Gurudev. Was it wrong what Rupa Goswami did to Jiva Goswami? No. Also, that was not wrong. Also for Rupa Goswami, his mood was, if anyone's going to correct me, of course they should correct me. Why does he have this mood? Because he's a Vaishnava. And a Vaishnava feels himself lower than the lowest. So if someone's going to correct me, oh, thank you, please, continue. Anything else you see, please help me. I need help. So if someone is criticizing you personally, you should accept it very happily. Yes, thank you. You are my dear friend for pointing out my mistakes. This will help me to improve in my service. So from that perspective, it is correct. From the other perspective, he's seeing that this one is criticizing his Gurudev, then he has to say something. And then from the perspective of service, the greater good, Rupa Goswami had to chastise Jiva and send him away. So this also pacified Vallabha. In this connection, just remind me where I am. Srila Gurudev, once upon a time, and I've told this before, as he was giving his Mangalacharan, first and foremost, I would like to offer my Dandavat Pranam to my beloved Gurudev, Nitya Lila Pravishtavam Vishnupad Ashto Tarashata Shri Śrīmad Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Mahārāja. And that assembly had so many of his seniors, disciples of Srila Bhaktivedānta Saraswati Prabhupada. Many began to laugh at him while he was doing his pranam to his Gurudev. They were laughing at him. And he said, what? Why are you laughing? They said, you said Nitya Lila, but your Gurudev is still present here. And Gurudev said, what? Only your Gurudev is in Nitya Lila and not mine. So this was a kind of correction, but it was also true and necessary. And another time, I can't remember what the subject was, but our Gurudev challenged because someone had spoken something that was apasiddhanta. He didn't criticize that person, but he had to speak up because there was something against the essential foundational teachings of Shastra that was being presented. Gurudev challenged. And they actually challenged him back. We're senior to you. How can you challenge us like this? And Gurudev said, I have heard directly from my Gurudev, Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Mahārāja. And he has understood the teachings of Srila Prabhupada Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhu, Thakur. So I know better than you. Something to that extent. Then they brought it to our Param Gurudev, Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Mahārāja, who was their senior. And he said, what he says is true. And he has the superior vision because he is seeing our Gurudev through me, through my eyes. So sometimes there's scope for that kind of adjustment. So with Srila Jiva Goswami, he had that duty to defend his transcendental Gurudev. But Rupa Goswami sent him away. So he went to a place known as Nandaghat. I think it's near Gokilvan. I remember when we would go to the place of Lochan Das Thakur. His beautiful deities are there, Krishna Kundan, Radha Vinod. And nearby there was one place, Nandaghat. And they would always say that Jiva Goswami was there. So once Sanatana Goswami was going through that area, and all the locals said, oh, there's one young Baba who's here. He was actually searching for Jiva. Jiva was weeping and crying in separation. He went and lived in a cave. Did that cave have any dangerous animals in it? Sometimes we've heard that it had a snake or alligator in it. But he was just living in that cave. He had given up eating. He had given up everything. He was only crying for his Gurudev, crying for Radha and Krishna. And his body was becoming emaciated and also diseased at that time. But only crying out day and night, weeping and weeping in separation from his Gurudev. This is a real disciple. They don't reject their Gurudev if their Gurudev is teaching them a lesson. Our Gurudev said, I have to be so careful with all of you. If I say anything that even slightly pinches you, you will say, oh, I don't like Nārāyaṇa Mahārāja, and you will leave me and bhakti forever. So I have to be so careful with you. But he mentioned some of his own brahmacharis at the time. Even if I beat them bitterly, I know they will never leave me. We have to come to that point. That kind of nishtha, that we understand the chastising words, the punishment that our Gurudev gives us is for our benefit. We require that discipline, and we must willingly place ourselves in that position where severe discipline can be inflicted upon us by our transcendental Gurudev, if we want to really progress on the path of bhakti. That was paraphrased of Srila Guru Govinda Maharaj.
My thing keeps sticking, so I'm just checking because sometimes it stops.
Okay.
Sorry.
So, the locals told Sanatana Goswami, oh, there's one young Baba who's crying day and night, calling out the names of Radha and Krishna. We think he's even more devoted than you. Immediately Sanatana thought, oh, this must be Jiva. He couldn't find him for some time, but there he found. He went to that place and saw this very weak, emaciated person who decided that I have no reason to maintain my life. Being rejected by my Guru, what is the use? Karuna na hoile, kandya kandya, prana na rakhivo ar. Without your mercy, weeping and weeping, I won't be able to maintain my life. So with that kind of mood, Jiva was letting it all go. Only calling day and night for the mercy of his Gurudev and Radha and Krishna. Sanatana Goswami found him in such a deplorable condition, and he brought him with him. Gurudev said he kept him at a distance from Rupa Goswami, behind some bush or something like that. And he asked Rupa Goswami, what is the primary duty of the Vaishnavas? Rupa Goswami answered, to be merciful to the Jivas. Then Sanatana brought Jiva out and said to all Jivas except this Jiva, Jiva Goswami. At that moment, Rupa Goswami began weeping, and Jiva was weeping. And Rupa embraced him, put him on his lap, and nourished him, and then gave him some medicine and gradually brought him back to health and re-employed him in his service. A beautiful reunion took place at that time. Okay, they said they're good on their end, Sudevi.
Mine is still...
Sorry, I didn't get it. What didn't you get? Could you please explain? All jivas, including this jiva. So jiva means all souls of this world. And his name is also Jiva, Jiva Goswami. So Rupa had externally rejected, but internally he never rejected him. But externally it appeared that he rejected him. And Jiva Goswami took it like that. But still he never gave up his faith and his affection and honor for his guru, Rupa Goswami. So when Sanatana Goswami said to Rupa Goswami to give mercy to all jivas, all souls of this world, but not this jiva meaning Jiva Goswami, then Rupa Goswami understood he was now being instructed by his own Shiksha Guru. Rupa Goswami saw Sanatana as his Shiksha Guru. So Rupa Goswami accepted, because Sanatana Goswami made this. You must accept him. You must nourish him. You must keep him with you and keep him engaged. Allow him to serve. So Rupa Goswami accepted that order of his superior, and he saw Sanatana Goswami as his superior, and he accepted Jiva Goswami and nourished him, nurtured him back to health, and engaged him in his service. So subsequently to that, Jiva Goswami became known as the primary personality in the Vishva Vaishnava Raja Sabha. He was the topmost guru of the Universal Association of Kingly Vaishnavas. Kingly, why? Because they are the masters of not only their senses, but they're able to instruct all others. So they are not only Goswamis, but they are also Acharya, one who teaches by their own example. And for the benefit of all others, they are giving spiritual instruction. So this is more than king. Therefore, they're called Mahārāja. Means the great king. Whenever any sadhu, real sadhu, would go to any kingdom, like Mahārāja Janak's kingdom, who came there? Ashtavakra Muni. And he was crooked in many places, and so many persons, he was actually invited to an assembly for discussing points of tattva and siddhanta and everything else. And when so many persons saw this person apparently crippled, they began making, or laughing, maybe making fun of him. We've seen a world leader do that regarding crippled persons not too long ago. So he said, I thought I came here to have a spiritual discussion, but I realized that I've come to an assembly of shoemakers. They're like, shoemakers? They were all very prominent personalities. Shoemakers? What do you mean by that? It was quite a slight. And he said, you're only looking at the external, at the skin and the external shape. So you're no better than shoemakers. Then they understood, ooh, we have made a big offense. Janak Maharaj placed him on his own throne and took a lower seat, and then they all listened to Ashtavakra Muni give Tattva Siddhanta, pure Shastra. They listened to him. So the kings would put the sadhus on their seat, and the kings would take the lower position. This is the meaning of Mahārāja. The king is Raj, but this is Mahārāja. So, Jiva Goswami, he was of this highest caliber. All Vaishnavas, if they wanted any accreditation, is that the word? Any kind of recognition for anything, any position or Sanskrit, this or that, or knowledge, Bhakti Shastri, this, or anything, they needed the stamp of approval of Srila Jiva Goswami. He was the most highly respected personality. He was the main guru, Shiksha Guru, for Vrindavan, Navadvip, and Puri Dhams. And all had so much respect for him. So we've already told before how Shyamananda, Srinivas, and Narottam, they all came to Srila Jiva Goswami. And Jiva Goswami's mood wasn't that, you're now mine, but rather he wanted to engage them in such a way that they can progress rapidly in the proper way toward their perfection. This is proper Vaishnava behavior. Not claiming someone, you're mine. You cannot get help from anyone else. To the extent that they can help you in your Krishna Bhakti, you should associate there. So, Jiva Goswami told Narottam, you take shelter of Lokanath Goswami. He told Srinivas Acharya, you take shelter of Gopal Bhatta Goswami. And of course, Sridhar Chaitanya sent Dukhi Krishna Das to Jiva Goswami, who later became known as Shyamananda. On the instruction of Jiva Goswami, when this Dukhi Krishna Das found that ankle bell while sweeping in the Jharu Mandal, the sweeping there, he found one ankle bell, he presented it to his Shiksha Guru, Jiva Goswami. Jiva Goswami said, do not give it to anyone except for the owner. Make sure. So Jiva Goswami already could see past, present, and future. And by following the order of Jiva Goswami as it is without unnecessary opposition, even though this Dukhi Krishna Das was being accused of improper behavior, those young gopis were saying, young girls, we could say, hey, did you find anything when you were sweeping? Yes, I found an ankle bell. Give it to us, it belongs to our friend, our Sakhi. He was like, no, I can only give it to the person who owns it. Aye, why do you want to see the person who owns it? What kind of Baba are you? Just give it to us. He said, no, I must only give it to the person who owns it. So even with the test, he followed the order of his guru as it is. And because of this, he was led directly to the lotus feet of Srimati Radhika in his already must be female form, because no male form can just be like that, seeing. And that time, he was able to put that ankle bell on, and she stamped his forehead with that ankle bell, and it came out as what we now know as Shyamananda Tilak. This was the order of Jiva Goswami. See how following the order of Sri Guru like this was able to give him direct service to the lotus feet of Srimati Radhika. This is the qualification of Srila Jiva Goswami. Now, Srila Jiva Goswami, he has compiled and manifested all Tattva Siddhanta. All of our Shastras have their foundation also in those Siddhantas. from all different places, all different scriptures, he has provided evidence, proof. This is the first thing that's required. Of the Dashamula Tattva, Bhaktivedānta Thakur mentions, Amnaya Praha. The first one is evidence from Shastra is required. From that, then everything else can be established. It's not, I think, I feel, let me concoct or do this. No, there must be evidence from Shastra. Even Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, while discussing with Rai Ramananda Rai, he said to him, whatever answer you give me, he said, I'm going to ask many questions. Whatever answer you give, I will only accept those answers which are from Shastra, grounded in the scripture, which have the evidence from Shastra, otherwise I won't accept it. And this is essential for us. Otherwise, anyone can say anything. We're like, oh, that's so sweet. Oh my God. And then we'll just go and follow that thing. So that's not enough just because someone says something. There must be evidence presented from Shastra, Amnaya Praha. From that evidence, then we will understand Tattvam Harimiha Paramam Sarvashaktim Rasabdim Tabbinan Shansha Jivam Prakriti Kapalitan Tabimuktamshta Bhavan. All of the 10 aphorisms that Srila Bhaktivedānta Thakur has presented, which establish all of the teachings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and our Shastra, so that we have something strong to present when we are sharing and preaching these conceptions. Jiva Goswami, by his immense knowledge and also by his immense ability to capture all of this information, presented it in all of the sandarbhas. Srila Gurudev said he also presented books on rasa, like Ananda Vrindavan Champu, but also from the perspective of Tattva Siddhanta. So he gave everything with very analytical understanding. And he's quite foundational for all of the teachings that we have received. So Jiva Goswami has presented all of these sandarbhas and so many other scriptures that we are deriving immense benefit from now and forever into the future. In fact, our Srila Prabhupada would quote him quite often. Srila Prabhupada was staying there at Radha Damodar temple. That is actually the temple of Jiva Goswami. Radha Damodar are the deities of Jiva Goswami. And so he was there taking shelter of Jiva Goswami. Why? Jiva Goswami is the best disciple of Srila Rupa Goswami. Das Adas Anudas, taking shelter of Jiva Goswami like this. How you serve Srila Rupa Goswami with your heart and your soul and your life and everything. Please also give me that kind of blessing and mercy that I can serve my Gurudev like that. Srila Gurudev said that this kind of prayer we should offer to Srila Jiva Goswami. So, Jiva Goswami presented all of these sandarbhas. Srila Gurudev explained that somehow, because it was Sanskrit, it's all done in Sanskrit, different schools have taken the works of Jiva Goswami, but because they were founded, these schools of Sanskrit were founded with Mayavad conception, they have taken the works of Jiva Goswami and twisted their meanings, and therefore become offensive to Jiva Goswami. And most of what you have today, not all of it, most of it, if you travel around Vrindavan, will have twisted meanings of Jiva Goswami. So when Gurudev was opening, he went to the opening of one Sanskrit school. He said, I'm so happy that a Sanskrit school is opening up in the, following in the path of Gaudiya Vaishnavism, that will present the teachings of Jiva Goswami properly. It will present the teachings of Jiva Goswami properly. Jiva Goswami also wrote one book called Harinam Amrita Vyakaran. This is a how to learn Sanskrit through the process of learning the names and Harinam through Krishna. I remember we were learning it in Vrindavan Gurukul, and it was like Krishnaha Balaramena Vadati. Krishna said to Balaram, like that. So it was all related to Krishna and Balaram and the names of the Lord. So Jiva Goswami basically made a Sanskrit grammar book, but based on the names of the Lord. Harinam Amrita Vyakaran. But so many have taken and twisted his teachings, And that is one of the challenges that our Gurudev and our Guru Varga have presented regarding the Babajis, especially some at Radha Kund, who are preaching conceptions which are actually opposed to the teachings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Jiva Goswami, even in the name of Jiva Goswami. Does that make sense? Just like now, in the name of Gurudev, so many people are preaching so many conceptions which are actually directly opposed or against to his teachings. And they're saying, no, this is what Gurudev really meant. No, it's not, but that's what they're saying. So some kind of political twists. These things are going on. It's the nature of Kali Yuga. It's difficult to have anyone just be simple, straightforward, and honest. Everyone will manipulate and try to twist things. But if you just take it for what it is, then you will see. Gurudev said this again and again and again and again and wanted to impress this idea in us. So why are you taking that opposite idea of exactly this and twisting it and trying to make it something different? So Gurudev said those people who are doing that to the words of Jiva Goswami, they are against Jiva Goswami, and they're making severe aparad to Jiva Goswami. So he wanted that the proper teachings of Jiva Goswami in the proper light would be presented. And this is essential for us to understand that just because someone claims to know Sanskrit, it doesn't mean that they actually understand the proper teachings of personalities like Jiva Goswami. They must also be following the moods and the inner heart's understanding of what Jiva Goswami was presenting. In this case, sometimes, according to time, place, and circumstance, any guru might say some particular thing. Not all the time, but sometimes. Like Jiva Goswami, he gave some kind of evidence or some kind of instruction, some kind of idea that Radha and Krishna are married. At that time, it was quite shocking, the idea that Radha and Krishna can be together. In fact, even the Sri Sampradaya wanted to separate Radha from Govinda. This is Rupa Goswami's Thakurji, Radha Govinda. She made her way from Puri all the way here to be with Govinda. She came in the dreams and somehow she was united with Govinda. Then when the Muslims attacked, Radha and Govinda were brought to Jaipur. In Jaipur, the other Vaishnavas from other Sampradayas were saying, how can you worship her with him? They're not married. This is not good etiquette. It's going to set a bad example for the world. You can put Lakshmi with Nārāyaṇa, but you can't put Radha with Krishna. She's married to someone else. So then, we all know that Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur sent his dear disciple, Balare Vidyabhushan, who had only a very short amount of time and prayed to Govindaji himself, who dictated everything to him and he wrote it down. Commentary on Vedanta Sutra known as Govinda Bhashya. And that was accepted by everyone, and that's how we are able to be considered a bona fide Sampradaya, because all evidence was given there, all Shastric evidence, that Radha is the original Shakti, and they are always meant to be together. Dui Vastu Vedanai Shastra Paraman. All Shastras declare that between these two transcendental personalities, actually there's no difference. Radha, Krishna, Pranaya, Vikriti, Hladini Shaktarasmad. They're only eternally separated, although they are one soul for the purpose of tasting ras, pranaya, love and affection. It's like one soul in two bodies for the purpose of experiencing a rasa. So, Baladevi Debhushan Prabhu, by the mercy of Govindaji, gave Govinda Bhashya as it is. And they all accepted. So you can imagine the time, even before that, how they were. Very, very strong, very heavy. And so in order to preach to different groups of persons, sometimes it's necessary to say one thing or another thing at different points in time. And so our Guru Varga have explained, and we should understand that our Guru Varga, they understand the heart of Jiva Goswami. Now everyone can say that about their Guru. We are saying it very boldly about our Guru Varga, our Guru Parampara. Because it seems that Jiva Goswami is alone in saying that. So he said that at one point in time, but at many other times he said the other thing. So it needs to all be taken into context. Yes, svakya. What is svakya? One definition is marriage, but the other definition of svakya means one's own. So, from one perspective, yes, Radhika is eternally Krishna's, and everything else is only pastime's sake. All of the other props and paraphernalia around that. So from that perspective, yes, you can say, yes, all the gopis, they belong to Krishna only. So, eternally married in a sense, but not married, but still svakya, one's own. Ananda chinmaya rasa pratibhavitabis tabirya eva nija rupatayakalaabhi. Resembling his own spiritual form, Srimati Radhika manifests. And resembling her own form, all of her own moods of love and affection for Krishna have manifested as all of the gopis, as like phases, different aspects of her moods of love and affection. But they're not actually different. So you can say, yes, svakya. From that perspective, you can understand. From that perspective, you can understand. And also parakya. Parakya bhav is there. What is parakya bhav? Parakya bhave jaha brajete prachar. What is the preaching of our Goswamis? Parakya bhave jaha. The gopis have this mood, the bhav, that we are married to someone else and we are running to Krishna in the middle of the night for his happiness, for his pleasure, for his benefit. This is parakya bhav. So, sometimes for different personalities, certain things need to be said in certain ways. And so our Guru Varga, who are well versed in the teachings of Jiva Goswami, Bhaktivedānta Thakur studied very diligently for over 10 years. Our Param Gurudev Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshava Goswami Maharaj also was well versed in all the sandarbhas of Jiva Goswami. Of course, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada as well. Our Srila Prabhupada, our Gurudev, they know, they've studied Jiva Goswami. They know and understand Jiva Goswami, not only from a scholastic perspective, but also from the internal perspective. Who he is, what he gave, why he gave what he gave, when he gave, it all makes sense. Only through their vision can we understand him. These days it's common to jump over all of their understanding, all of their heads, and jump to Jiva Goswami, extract one or two statements that he's made that apparently contradict everything all the rest of our Guru Parampara states, and then say, no, this is the truth. They are just adjusting for time and place and circumstance. But this is not our process. That's not how parampara works. Parampara means we accept our Guru Devs and our Guru Varga's vision of our Purva Acharyas, or our previous Gurus in the Guru Parampara. So another thing, point of contention, but we've been discussing it very, very diligently over the last many months. It's kept coming up because we've been studying Going Beyond Vaikuntha, the journey of Gopakumar, and now again it's being mentioned in Śrī Dāmodarāṣṭakam very strongly by our Srila Gurudev. So Gurudev started off one of his lectures on the disappearance day of Jiva Goswami in Perth, Australia. I think it was 2002, speaking about the eternal, inherent, intrinsic Svarup of the Jiva, what is already inside. In some places, it appears that Jiva Goswami is saying that by external association, your Svarup is given. But when you look at the full gamut of everything Jiva Goswami has given regarding these subject matters, you will understand that what he's saying is not contradictory to what the rest of our acharyas are saying. How could it be so? Then it cannot be tattva. How is he saying it? What is he saying? And why is he saying it? So our Guru Varga have very, very diligently gone through and reconciled and given us the reconciliations for all of these apparent external differences by showing the heart, the inner heart of what Jiva Goswami is saying. Only due to the misunderstandings of his Sanskrit through the, I can't remember the moment, Panini. With Mayavad twist, they've twisted some of Jiva Goswami's meanings, but we know that Jiva Goswami was not of that nature. He was a pure devotee of Rupa Goswami, of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So how could he have Mayavad twisting? Anyhow, they've twisted it. And so we'll see in our Srila Prabhupada's books what Srila Prabhupada's translation is, what his understanding is, what our Param Gurudev's understanding is, what Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaja's understanding is, what our Bhakti Dayatamara Maharaja's understanding is, what Bhakti Jivan Janardhan Goswami Maharaja's understanding is, what Bhakti Vinod Thakur's understanding is, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Baladev Vidyabhushan, Rupa Goswami, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all of them. And it appears that Jiva Goswami is alone off to the side by himself. No, we need to understand what and why and how he's presenting certain bits of knowledge so that we can reconcile. So the idea comes, we've discussed it recently, even in the writings of Jiva Goswami, there's the idea that basically the eternal forms of the perfected jivas are kind of already present in the spiritual world as a manifestation of the effulgence of the eternal associates of the Lord. Like there's some kind of suit waiting for us in some closet somewhere. And so when we get there to the gates, they'll present you with your suit, and then you slip in your suit and it becomes part of you. You become that form, and then you go and serve. This idea is kind of given like that. What? So this idea is kind of given like that. So it is also based on verses which you can find in Śrīmad Bhagavatam, like Prayujyamane. There it is saying that he manifested his spiritual form. So there's different ways of understanding that. One way to look at it, and sometimes it's just like the moon on the branch logic. How is it that I will have a spiritual form?
Usually it stops at 7:30.
Wow, okay. Radhe Radhe, Radhe Radhe. I'm back.
I was waiting for that.
Yeah, but we only went for a little bit. So moon on the branch logic. What is the moon on the branch logic? Do you see the moon? Where's the moon? You see the branch of that tree right there? Yes? Well, it's sitting on the branch of the tree. Oh yeah, I see it now. So that's moon on the branch logic. It's something from my perspective here and now to give me a reference, a frame of reference. But it's not necessarily the real thing. A frame of reference. So it has been described that how do you reconcile Jiva Goswami's statement? Not that something is given to you, awarded to you, okay, now that you have purified yourself, I'm going to give you initiation and make you into a cowherd-boy. Wait a second, no, Manjari, no, wait, a parent. And then you revoke it, no, now tomorrow you're going to be a cowherd-boy. Not like that. Because if that's what a suit is, then you can put on any suit. That means it's not really eternally you. You're just a blank something and anything can be superimposed onto you. So how do you reconcile that when it seems to be against what Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita? Abhyayam, it cannot be mutated, cannot be changed. Srila Gurudev said it's all inherent, present within us. Whatever our Swarup is. Not Gurudev only, Param Gurudev. All of the transcendental associates of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada, he himself, Bhaktivedānta Thakur, very, very strongly, most definitely explains this point as well. And they've given all evidence from Shastra, not in contention with Jiva Goswami, but in explanation of what Jiva Goswami has given. So rather than seeing that it is there like a bunch of coats in a closet, you can see that it is there in potential. That what is meant to be will manifest, given the proper nourishment and association. That will manifest. It is meant to be. So these points Srila Jiva Goswami has made, but we should try to understand Jiva Goswami through the medium of those who have the eyes to see and understand Jiva Goswami. In fact, our Param Gurudev was reading the Sandarbhas, Sat Sandarbhas. And at that time, he was questioned by his then, one of his godbrothers, who said, "You're not allowed to read that." And he said, "Why not?" He said, you're not qualified enough, it's too high for you. And our Param Gurudev said, "Test me on anything." And so he started testing him on all of these different points of tattvas and everything. And our Param Gurudev passed with flying colors, of course. And then he said, "Yes, you can study these tattva sandarbhas." Now a question was asked, do you recommend reading the Sat Sandarbhas? If so, which translation? I only know the ones from Jiva Institute. It so happens that the ones from Jiva Institute are the versions which are exactly opposite to the teachings of our Gurudev, our Param Gurudev, our Śrīla Prabhupada, our Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada, Bhaktivedānta Thakur, and so many others. And because they've been translated from that perspective, it takes on a different meaning and it actually creates a lot of confusion and doubt. And because they're presenting as very, we are knowledgeable in Sanskrit. This is usually the excuse. Well, I know Sanskrit. What I have understood from our Guru Parampara is all of the knowledge in Sanskrit, or all of the knowledge in the world, doesn't mean a fig if one does not have complete shelter of the pure Vaishnava. Complete shelter. As Srila Gaura Kishore Das Babaji Mahārāja told Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada, who knew everything, who was the most brilliant mind of all time, take everything you think you know and throw it in the ocean and come back. Then I will give you. So just because there's a lot of knowledge does not mean that that knowledge is necessarily correct. On the basis of knowledge of Sanskrit, someone can basically disrespect someone who has given their very life day in and day out for 60 years to their gurus, completely serving in every capacity. There's two different things. Knowledge of Sanskrit does not mean that one understands. I'm not comparing any devotee to these personalities, but Ravana was expert in Sanskrit. So was Hiranyakashipu, and they knew all Shastras very, very expertly. Have you read the section in Śrīmad Bhagavatam where Hiranyakashipu is discussing Jiva Tattva? Shri Hiranyakashipur Uvacha, the most amazing Jiva Tattva you can ever imagine, and it is placed in Śrīmad Bhagavatam as Hiranyakashipu is preaching to the family of his dead brother Hiranyaksha about Jiva Tattva. So demons also are very expert in Shastra, and they can also run circles. Even Mayavadis, our Gurudev warned us, be careful. For every shlok you know, they know 100 shloks, and another 100 for each of those that they quote, and they can run circles around you with Tattva and Siddhanta. And then in the very end, they will say, it is all one. I am Nārāyaṇa, you are Nārāyaṇa, it is all Nārāyaṇa. Just like that. He said, so be very careful. So Srila Jiva Goswami, most of what he gave, and I mentioned the two contentious points, but most of what he gave, means 99.9%, was establishing all of the very strong conceptions of our Guru Varga, of Srila Rupa Goswami, of Sanatana Gosvāmī, of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But our Srila Gurudev has explained that in order to understand Jiva Goswami, it is necessary to take shelter of the pure devotee. Otherwise, we might be a little confused. In the same way that I remember him saying it too. I remember the feeling that came Be careful what you read. It may have been mistranslated, or you might not understand it. So, just be very aware. Even Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita states that the Vedas are like this as well. Like a vast ocean with so many dangerous animals and creatures inside. And if you're not following or being guided properly by the expert boatman, Shri Guru Kandari, who's the expert captain, then you can very easily become lost. So we follow Jiva Goswami. How? Through the medium of our Guru Varga, not jumping over their heads, but understanding him through their understanding of him. Do I know more than Bhaktivedānta Thakur? Do I know more than Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur? Or my Param Gurudev? Or Prabhupada? Or my Gurudev? No way. So I will accept their understanding of Jiva Goswami and their reconciliations of Jiva Goswami. And by this, I will be able to properly honor, worship, and serve Srila Jiva Goswami and his teachings. So I just wanted to share with you something that Srila Gurudev spoke regarding Srila Jiva Goswami, and then today we will end here. Where is it? We are. So, Srila Gurudev said, Srila Jiva Goswami is a brilliant star in our disciplic line. He is a brilliant and learned Acharya, the greatest scholar in the Brahmamadva Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya. If he had not written Śrī Sandarbha, if he had not written Śrī Gopal Champu, if he had not revealed his commentaries on Śrī Ujjvala Nilamani, Śrī Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, and so many other books, we would not be able to know the mercy of Srila Rupa Goswami. We therefore offer our obeisances today unto the lotus feet of Srila Jiva Goswami. We pray that we may serve our Gurudev as he served Srila Rupa Goswami. He manifested both Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Sri Radha Krishna. It is very rare for anyone to be like him. So Srila Gurudev glorified Jiva Goswami like this, and also offered how we should pray to Jiva Goswami. So on this day, the day of the disappearance of Srila Jiva Goswami, the anniversary of that day, we offer our Dandavat Pranam in his lotus feet and pray that may even a drop of his moods of complete surrender to his Gurudev may manifest in our heart for our transcendental Gurudev, and may even a drop of the ocean of transcendental knowledge that he has within his heart, may even a drop of that mood also enter our heart, a drop of that transcendental knowledge. By the grace of Srila Jiva Goswami, we have received the mercy of Sri Rupa Goswami. Srila Jiva Goswami Pada Ki Jai, Srila Rupanuga Guru Varga Ki Jai, Srila Gurudeva Ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Gaura Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. I'm sure there's so much more to say on Srila Jiva Goswami. Right now, I'm absorbed in up to this point. Maybe tomorrow we can continue something with his glories. Sri Jiva Goswami Pada Ki Jai. Okay. So, I just wanted to share really quickly, there's one verse, Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema Sadhya Kabunoy Shavanadi Shuddha Chitte Kore Udoy. When our Srila Prabhupada wrote the translation to that verse in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, it was according to our Guru Varga, Bhaktivedānta Thakur, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada, all of his disciples, our Gurudev, Srila Govinda Mahārāja, they all have the same one idea of the meaning of this verse. That it is actually eternally established within the heart. It is nothing to be had from any outside source. It is only awakened by association with anyone who has that kind of nature. So this is how our Guru Varga have explained it. But when you read the translations coming from the Jiva Institute, it's almost exactly opposite that. And it's broken down Sanskritically. It said nowhere is it said that this and this and this. So we need to understand Jaha Bhagavata Para Vaishnavirasthani. If we want to understand Shastra, if we want to understand the Bhagavatam, if we want to understand transcendental literature, which is also what our Goswamis have given, then we must understand that at the feet of any pure Vaishnava. And we started off by talking about maintaining loyalty and adherence to our Guru Varga. And any conception which is coming, which is opposite to that, which might break our Shraddha or faith, we should either defeat it. If we have no capacity to do so, then we should admit that we are not so strong and keep away from that. But to entertain those ideas, we might not be strong enough and we will lose our connection. We can't lose our connection to our transcendental Gurudev. And it can take a long time to regain it because we will be in the category of akritagya or ungrateful. Therefore, our possibility of connecting with Nishta will be practically evaporated or destroyed. So if we want to make progress on the path of bhakti, then we must hold tightly to the lotus feet of our Gurudev and not let go. That is the meaning of be strong. Srila Gurudev ki jai. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Gaura Hari Bol, Hari
This whole thing just sorry.
Śrīla Gurudev ki jai, Śrīla Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Varga ki jai, Bhaktivedānta Śrīla Sanātana Gosvāmī ki jai, प्रेम पुरुषोत्तम सच्चिदानंद गौर हरि की जय, राधा विनोद बिहारी जी की जय, राधा रमण जी की जय, गिरिराज महाराज की जय, हरि नाम संकीर्तन की जय, हरे कृष्ण महामंत्र की जय, श्री जीव गोस्वामी पाद की जय, दिव्य तिरुभाव महामहोत्सव की जय, गौर भक्त वृंद की जय, निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि गोविंद So thank you all very much for being with us today and giving us the opportunity to remember the beautiful teachings of our Srila Gurudev and our Guru Varga, and especially on this day to remember the glories of Srila Jiva Goswami Pad. Also, we'd like to express to you that we cannot repay you. We are indebted for all that you have given us the opportunity to daily serve our Srila Gurudev. We cannot repay you for that. And the idea of being able to claim repayment, that would be akritagya, meaning ungrateful. So, because she was looking for akritagya. So, before we look forward to seeing you tomorrow, today is also the birthday of Sudevi's sister, Lavangalata.
My big sister.
Her big sister. So we're going to offer some flowers and happy birthday for her. I don't even know if she's watching, but we have some from the lotus feet of our Gurudev, from the lotus feet of Srila Prabhupada, from the lotus feet of Param Gurudev, from the lotus feet of Saraswati Thakur, and from Srimati Radhika and Krishna, and everyone. Okay. So, this is for Lavangalata. We'll tell her to watch the ending here. Mangalam Bhavatu.
Mangalam Bhavatu. Put the flower down.
Oh, okay. This is for her. On her head. And this is for on behalf of all of you. Guru Nishta Bhavatu.
Guru Nishta Bhavatu.
Krishna Bhaktir Bhavatu.
Krishna Bhaktir Bhavatu.
Radha Dasyam Bhavatu.
Radha Dasyam Bhavatu.
Oh, happy birthday, Lavanga.
Happy birthday.
So, may you be happy.
Best big sister ever.
In this world. May you be happy all the way up until perfection, and may you be happy into perfection forever. Happy birthday, Lavanga.
Happy birthday.
Radhe, Radhe.
Radhe, Radhe.
Okay, so we look forward to being with all of you tomorrow. Dandava Pranam.
Dandava
Hare
Pranam.
Krishna. Radhe, Radhe.
Radhe,
Radha
Radhe.
Vino Bihari Ju ki
Jai.
jai. Śrī Satyavrata Gaura Hari ki jai. Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Gaura Premanande
Hari Hari Bo.